So we're finishing up, I believe we're up to Gimel, right? That's correct. We're up to Gimel in Hachana. We're finishing up Hachana right now. So now it's exciting. Finishing up Hachana, and then we're going to go into the first of the terms of Tefillah. Again, just to quickly summarize what we said last time on a very base level, this is a massive Chidushim last time. Like crazy Chidushim last time. Gorgeous Chidushim. That the idea was about Kavana, right? Why do we all struggle with Kavana so much? Because in a simple sense, in a quick summary way, we said that Kavana it doesn't depend on us at all. It actually has nothing to do with this. It's actually a concept that's way beyond us. To be able to actually train our minds and train our brains to actually connect with Hashem during davening, to focus. He said, like, it doesn't matter if you're like the most non-ADHD focused person in the world. Kavanah and Tefillah is not something that's within our hands. It's actually in the hands of Shemaim. And I learned about this. Tanya says the same thing. Kavanah, to connect, to bring your mind to that place, you have to be in a very special place. And it's from Hashem. So the point is, you have to daven to have Kavanah. How do you daven to God? How do you show Hashem that you want to have Kavanah? By doing hachana for tefillah, by showing up early to davening, you're showing Hashem that you want to be there and that you're worthy of receiving that kavanah. So then Hashem will then give you the kavanah because of the fact that you show you're ready to go. So that's the idea, right, of the whole concept of the hachana and the power, the spiritual power of hachana. That is like essential. And the reason is that if you didn't do any hachana, you come to davening late, you run throwing your tefillah, we run way through, then we're not even going to be able to. We can't. He says you literally can't ever have kavanah because kavanah is a spiritual matter. It's not a physical matter. Like you could be the most focused person in the world. You won't be able to lock in on your tefillah and actually focus in a real way unless you do proper hachana. Okay, that's what we said. So now we're finishing up the concept of hachana. So Gimel, v'yesh bazeh, and this is page kafeh. V'yesh bazeh od halacha nora sherabim eina bekiyim ba. And we also see, in addition to what we saw before, again, I think when they say yesh bazeh od, if I remember correctly, I think we're talking about the halacha. We're talking about the Bach. The Bach said, and what we said before about. Again, we prepare our hearts, and then Hashem takes care. Then Hashem will listen to us, right? There's another halacha, another wondrous halacha. She'rabim, that the majority of people are not experts in, that we don't really pay attention to. Isa b'brachos, says in the Gemara in Brachos, Daf Kav Tes. Rabbi Eliezer Omer ha'oset tfilaso keva, ain't tfilaso tachnunim. Right? Rabbi Eliezer says that anyone who makes his tefillah like fixed, like set, then his tefillah is not tachnunim. What's tachnunim? Tachnunim literally means, we're going to see later, the definition that is like used, it means like begging for grace. We're going to see what that means, but it really means is lashon of bakasha, begging, right? Tachnunim to Hashem, right? So we have to understand what this lines mean. That someone's tefillah is not set. What does it mean? This tefillah is not set. It doesn't mean the time. What does it mean? My keva. What does it mean, keva? Amar Rabbi Yaakov Bar Idi. Amar Rabbi Yoshaya. Chol shetfilasa dome alav kemasoi. Anybody whose tefillah is to them, upon them like a burden, like a muscle. It's like a burden. V'Rabbanan Amri, Kol Misha Eina Omram B'Lashon Tachnunim. And the Rabbanan say that what's defined as tefillah that's not keva, it's someone that says that does not daven in the way of begging, as in like you're begging for something, you're asking for something. The way Tachnunim, to ask for something b'Tachnunim is it's like a way of asking for something. It's in a way of like you're really mamish, like you're asking with fervor, with passion. There's something you need, and we'll explain what that means. That's one of the terms of tefillah we're going to explain. Okay, but we're saying over here that and someone who doesn't have whose tefillah is a keva, it's not a tachnunim. What does that have to do? V'nifseku shtei leshonos lehalacha b'shulchan aruch. And these two leshonos we're going to see right now are actually brought lehalacha and l'shulchan aruch. It's Siman Sadei Ches Siv Gimel V'zal Yispalel derech tachnunim. Karash amevakesh bepesach uvenachas. Right? So what the Shulchan Aruch says, this is the halacha. Now we're talking about halacha. This is Shulchan Aruch, this is halacha. The halacha says that a person needs to daven b'derech tachnunim, in the way of like begging. Just like a rash, like a poor person, a pauper, is a mevakesh a pesach, and he's asking at the door, ubenachas. V'shelo yira alav kemasoi mevakesh lepater mimena. Right? And the point is that he doesn't seem to be that somebody he's asking for money. He's like a pauper. He's asking. When you go to the door of the wealthy person, you're a poor person. You don't want to make it look like you're asking as a burden. You want to make it look like as in like, I'm coming to you because I have no one else to turn to. Please help me, right? Yeah, Victor.
No, we should just say we shouldn't die as in a way of thing.
No, you should. If I said that, then he's called me. Where are you at? Right, he's defining, he's saying what this means. What is keva? My keva, what does it mean? Because we said, one more time, go back to the Gemara, it says, Rabbi Eliezer Omer oset tefillah so keva, one who makes their tefillah keva, which is a negative thing, ain't tefillah so tachnunim. Then his tefillah is not considered to be like one of tachnunim. So he says, my keva, what does it mean, keva? Which again, this seems to be like a negative thing. So Amar Rabbi Yaakov Bar Idi, Amar Rabbi Yoshaya, Kol shet tefillah so dom elav kemasoi. When someone's tefillah is like set, it's just fixed. It's like, it looks as if it's like a burden to them. That's according to that opinion. That's what it means, keva, that it looks like a burden. And the Rabbanan say that, what does it mean? When it says keva, Rabbanan say, someone who doesn't daven in a way of tachnunim. That's what it means, keva. So he's saying keva's not a good thing. It seems to be implying that keva, davening in a fixed way, is not a good thing. And the Rabbanan, the Chachamim say that what's the definition of keva, which is, again, it seems to be implying in the Gemara, it's not a good thing, it's not a good way to daven. That's someone who doesn't daven in the way of tachnunim. So you are supposed to daven with tachnunim. Good. Thank you. Right? We just said. So he's followed derech tachnunim karash mabakish pesach of nachas shlo yira alav kemaso mabakish depater mena. You don't want to seem like you're just trying to get out of there. You want to ask the guy, you're showing him that you need him. Because of Mishnah Brura, that's a mem base. Kimasa. What does it mean, kimasa? Perush. Afa pisha omra beloshen tachnunim. Even if you ask in the way, and you sound like you're asking for the wealthy person, let's say, and obviously we're talking about davening here, and so the person is davening to Hashem in the way of tachnunim, even if you sound like you're davening in the way of tachnunim, like begging for something, but if you don't actually think, and you're not like, you're just kind of saying, you're just saying the words, and like, Hashem, please help me. But in your mind, you're like, yeah, whatever. You're not davening like somebody who actually needs something, right? Because remember, where did we say the ikr connection is? Where does Hashem really see? Where does Hashem really hear you? In your mind, right? That's really the ultimate place, right? Exactly. But moach, and then this person comes before the melech. Rather, if this is somebody who's just trying to daven, he's just like somebody who's just trying to daven to fulfill his chiyuv and move on. Let's say it's not proper. It's not the halach. This is Shulchan Aruch. Shulchan Aruch says, and Mishnah Brura says, this is not a proper tefillah. This is not a good tefillah. And we have to be very careful with this. Mishnah Brura is saying we have to be very careful with this. Nevertheless, b'di'evet. Even if you don't daven b'derech tachnunim, which we just said lahalacha, you have to do. Lo yaksur bispal. You shouldn't go back and daven again. V'ayim beber halacha. You see the ber halacha. We're going to see what the ber halacha says in a second, right? The ber halacha is the Chafetz Chaim kind of like Iyun notes on the Mishnah Brura, right? Chafetz Chaim wrote the Mishnah Brura on the Shulchan Aruch, and Ber Halacha goes much deeper. So he's saying over here again that this concept is lahalacha. The person has to daven b'tachnunim, but not just b'tachnunim, not just sound like you're davening like it. In your mind, you actually have to make yourself as if like you're davening because that you need something. Like turn to Hashem as if you're a poor person, right? Poor person going to the rich person. He doesn't just like say the words, "Yo, please help me," and like he means it. He's asking because he means it. He shows him that like I'm relying on you. I have no one else to turn to. I need you. Uber halacha kasa. What does it say? How much does a person need to be so careful with this? That's like more of like a rhetorical question. It says, how much does a person need to be so careful in this Indian? According to the Ber Halacha, he's saying there's actually a lot of poskim that say that if you didn't daven b'derech tachnunim in this way of asking and begging Hashem and davening as if you actually need something, then you have to go back and daven. That you weren't yotzei yechiv. Now, La Halacha said we don't hold like that, but there are poskim that say that. Hello, Ehema Habach, the Bach says that, the Eliyarabba says that, V'chein Muchach, Be'abeis Yosef, Ve'amaymer Mordechai V'cholo, that all these poskim seem to say that if you don't daven b'lashon tachnunim, you have to go back. Ayin Sham Demasik. And you can see in the Ber Halacha, he says that the final conclusion was Al Kopanim. That's what that means. Al Kopanim, Gam LaShito Shili Kuva. Even the shitas that say that it is ma'akiv, as in ma'akiv means that it holds back from fulfilling your chiyuv, as in like if you didn't daven b'lashon tachnunim, you do have to go back. Eina ela me'alachas kavanos. It's only from the halachas of kavanos. If eina ma'akeves ela bebracha rishon, it's only ma'akiv in the first bracha, which again we're going to discuss. But in the halachas of tefillah, that we know that the only time that you need to go back is if you didn't have kavanah in the first day brachas. Lehalacha for us, we don't hold anymore. First day brachas. Through HaKadosh, but the halacha we don't hold anymore because we say nowadays that modern poskim say that we don't actually have kavanah at all in the real sense of what they used to have back then. So like for us davening again is going to do nothing anyways. So but the point is you just say that's halacha of kavanah. But again we're this is ashkafa sefer, it's not halacha sefer. But he's saying look at the koach of davening petachnunim, and let's finish off. He says this is mind blowing. This is a wondrous concept. According to these shitos, Yisakin v'harbe meitanu, many of us, this is wild. Lo yatsu dechovas tefila miyameim. According to these poskim that say that if you don't daven b'derech tachnunim in a way where you actually are as if you really need something, then you weren't yosei your tefila. It seems, according to these guys, according to these poskim, it seems to be saying that many of us have never filled a proper davening in our entire lives. Again, the halacha we don't hold it, but there is a tzad to say so. Because many of us just come and do what? We come and daven mibnei chiyuv. We come and daven because we have to. We want to check a box. We just want to come in, read the words, and move out. Even if we struggle as much as we want. We can close our eyes and say, right? But if we don't actually think that in our minds, we're just here just to just to do it and get out. We don't actually think about it. We don't actually think, oh, I'm actually talking to you, Hashem, for real, because I know you hear me, and I'm here for real. I really need this. I really need health. I really need parnas. I really need something. I really just need to connect to you. I really need to succeed. Whatever it is. But you just kind of go through the motions, just checking off a box. Then according to these poskim, we never fulfill chiyuv betfilah in our entire lives. Ve'al panim, who are regesh nifla betfilah. He says this is mamish. This is a feeling that we have to understand. We have to work on. Right? It's a wondrous feeling in tefillah. This is something we have to strive for. That we don't just come to davening because we have a chova to do so. That we don't just come and we just a burden upon us. We just do it because we have to do it. Ella, we have to recognize. Ella ben davar nachus lo levakish lo b'akadosh baruch hu. Says rather we have to recognize. We have to realize that just coming the davening, it's not just simply a chova. It's such an opportunity that we're coming and we have the ability to ask for things that we need. We have the ability to ask for anything that we need from Hashem. And it's such a necessary thing for us to have that feeling. And by coming and davening in this way, and if we change the way that we daven, literally change the way you physically daven, change the way that we say the words and say the brachas to literally to yourself. You don't scream it out loud, into yourself. Nobody will hear you, right? Change it in the way of instead of just imagine you were actually asking somebody for something that your life depended on, something really important. Imagine you actually were asking for something like that. He says do that. He says start talking like that during davening. Start talking to Hashem like that anyway. And you're going to start to feel, what does he say? And someone who makes himself regular in this Indian, Yira Oros, you're going to see many Oros, shine and lights, so to speak, but Shino Gadol, and a tremendous difference and change. Bechol Ikos, in your entire quality of tefillah also, in your entire quality of tefillah. Again, Rav Shimshon is giving us practical insights, giving us practical things right now. Practical lamaisa ways to work on our tefillah. He says, change the way you daven. We're going to talk about Tachnunim soon, because now we're actually getting it next time we meet. We're going to continue into the actual Lishonos of Tefillah and the ways of Tefillah. But what he's really saying here is that Lamaisa is to change the way we daven. Literally change the way we sound, change the way we think. When we approach Hashem in davening, rather than just sitting there and being and people think I remember I keep on saying Hashem's on a human ATM, right? That's a big part of Tefillah. The main part of Tefillah, the main koach of Tefillah, the main thing in any of Tefillah is the connection, is the kirvas Hashem we achieve. But we also spoke about in the mashal last week and the last couple of weeks that as part of that, once you have that kirvas Hashem, then of course avada you ask for things, and of course Hashem wants to give you things, and we also know that it's a mitzvah to ask Hashem for things. Believe it or not, it's a mitzvah to ask Hashem. Why? Because by you davening to Hashem for your parnasa, by you davening to Hashem for tefillah, for davening for success in Torah, whatever it is, you're showing Hashem that that He's the only one that you can ask. You only have bitachon on Hashem. It's actually a mitzvah to ask Hashem for your bakashas, right? So the idea is that we have to recognize when we daven, we have the opportunity. That imagine that we're coming and we actually need something. When we say atachonen, which is a bracha for knowledge in Torah, for success in Limud Torah, to remember our learning, right? Rabbi Sharai today was talking about all the skulas, right? They used to put the snow on their head or whatever, and all the other funny stuff, right? But what he was saying was very true in the sense of, I don't know if he said it exactly like this way, so I don't misquote him, but kind of the gist of what I got, what he was saying. And before I misquote it, I'll quote somebody else so I know what exactly. But a Rav that I'm close with, he once said he had a very funny line that he always used to say, which one time he got up on Shabbos and he liked to give a lot of musar. It was great. He was the man, but good musar, really enlightening musar. He got up and he said everybody keeps asking me for what's a great skula to wake up in the morning. He says, you want me to tell you? He said, you want the skula? You guys don't want the skula to wake up and jump out of bed? I'll give you the skula. He's like, the greatest skula to wake up in the morning is to go to sleep early. And we're like, oh, come on. Right, that was it. Right, that's the skula. The skula to wake up early is to go to sleep earlier. And we're like, come on. Right, that's it. Right, so the idea is ultimately, like we're saying, that in a pashut way, the way to remember our learning is ultimately to what is to daven for it. It's just we have to do the ishtalos, we have to do the things that are gonna help, that are gonna make us regular and, so to speak, remembering. It's all from Hashem. It's all one sugya, and all the stuff is retained from davening. The biggest skula to remembering your learning is davening for it. That was a little bit different than what I just said, but still kind of the same meaning. Thought it would tie in a little better, but okay, Baruch Hashem. But either way, the concept is that the great I tied in, right? Because the idea is that the best skula is the Maisa. There is skulas. There is such a concept as skulas, 100%. But the best skula is doing the things that you know will help you. For example, putting that koach into atachonen. Literally, before this again, we spoke about this halacha before, but it says B'Shapurim, we know this, that before the end of every bracha, before you say the words Baruch, you can make a personal bakasha for anything that's related to that bracha. So in atachonen, right before you say the bracha of Baruch Atah Hashem, you could say to Hashem, and like ask, like B'Loshen Tachnunim, like you're saying, like speak like this. Ask Hashem and be like, Hashem, please, I'm mamish begging you. Use a little bit more emotion than I'm doing. I'm just giving me share. I'm not trying to, everybody knows for themselves. And what you can imagine yourself sounding like when you're really begging for something they care about. Say, Hashem, I need your help. I can't remember learning. I can't remember my share. I don't like learning. I don't like this. I don't like Gemara. I don't like. Please, and ultimately, that's the biggest school for remembering and growing in our learning is asking Hashem for it, because Hashem is the source of all this learning. If we want us to see learning, we got to go to the one who gives us learning, who created learning. Probably Hashem, so Avada Hashem, obviously. I'm kidding. But ultimately, we got to go to the one who gives us. So, Bez Hashem, we should be zoche. Next time, we will continue with what's the next page? What do we have? Bitzer, beautiful. What is that? Bitzer means calling out in distress. It is the first type of feeling. Now, from here on forward, now we're past Achana. Now we're going to discuss the different ways to daven, the different applications of tefillah throughout davening. And like we said, it's not just about davening. Is not even remotely just about understanding the words. It's actually about the method of davening. The words themselves, we never really understand the full omek, the full depth of the words themselves. We know what they mean on pshat level, but it's not about the word. We know the words themselves are so pure that it was made the Ajik and Gedola. Even we don't actually know what the words are saying necessarily. I mean, we do. Again, we know what the article says, and we know whatever it says. But the point is the way to daven. How do we daven? That's what we're going to start discussing. Bez Hashem. Shkoyach, guys.